This conference will now be recorded.
Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, Ram. Yeah.
So, yeah, this is Ram. I'm from Bangalore, working in Salesforce from past close to somewhere around 12 to 13 years. Started my career in 2010, post my engineering, and I started my career directly in Salesforce. Um, it's been quite long journey. Like I worked more than around 80 plus applications from end to end, which involves minor and major as well. I, I retrained um, 1,000 plus students and used to go for even corporate trainings, and I prefer online, and I used to give even offline as well. And coming to my certifications and all, so I am 17x certified, a Salesforce architect, working in an organization with a team, with leading a team of around 28 people, working for multiple projects. And what I do in my org, so mostly I deal with the customers, understand their requirements, and do the initial design and work on that design if it is very much complex. Else, I'll guide my developers to start working on them and do the code review and handle the release management cycle through different processes that we follow in our organization. Yeah, that's about me. And today we are here to understand a basic idea about Salesforce. Okay, so why we are going for Salesforce, from where the Salesforce got when it got extracted or defined, and what is cloud, what are the advantages, disadvantages, and even uh, what are the job opportunities that you're gonna have, and finally the course content. We'll discuss about the course content as well, and the way we decide. I mean, discuss or continue our journey in this course, and finally, uh, like what are we gonna learn, what is the pattern that we follow, all of them. Yeah. If anyone has any other questions, please do stop me right at the point and you can ask me the questions. Don't wait until I complete the session. If you have anything, please do ask me immediately. Yeah. Session I have already discussed. This is not required. So can someone tell me what is a legacy platform? Okay, before legacy platform, can someone tell me what is an application? Why do we need the software applications? Anyone? Hello?
Yeah, Ram, it's a kind of to maintain organized or maybe the kind of requirement where we maintain in an organized way
Okay.
to manage projects.
Okay, again, what do you mean by project?
It's a I mean, yeah, it's basically the requirement. We turn it into a software
So end of the
instead
day,
of
your
doing
project is also
manual
an
work.
application.
We make it as on automate,
But
and
so which means even your project is an application, right? So
yep,
my
right.
question is, what is an application? What's the purpose of an application?
Yeah, to avoid a manual work on a day-to-day basis, to make it as a organized way, such a way that we can reuse the components and one way, I mean, it's a kind of multiple users are using. It's happening. I mean, it's happening to do it in a kind of repeated work to make it as an automate way and organized way. We go with the softwares. I think
Okay.
that's what I'm
So
on
can
top of
I
my
say
mind.
like this? An application is a solution provided in IT, which makes your life easier.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. For example, um, so I'm a 90s kid, okay? So when I was very young, like between 90 to 95, used to see like whenever we want to travel, my father he used to go to the railway stations, or he used to, of course I'm from a small town, so we used to go to bus stations to book the tickets from place A to place B. He used to stand in a queue. Even if you want to go to a movie, he has to stand in a big queue, and then he used to do all this. But now, when I am doing this, when as I have kids, like if I want to travel, I never go to a bus station and stand in a queue to book the tickets, or I never go to any theater to buy a ticket to take my kids. I'll just open my laptop or my mobile, open the relevant applications, maybe a Book My Show or a Redbus, or maybe IRCTC portal, or in fact, make my trip to book a flight. Right. So it's just happening on your fingertips, right? So that's the transformation that the IT brought into our lives, right? Now, did anyone saw a 5 minute craft video in in Facebook's? There is one channel called 5 Minutes Craft. Did anyone saw that?
No, Ram, I haven't heard it.
So it's nothing much, like it's not related to the software. So this is the channel which will show you a craft that can be bought, I mean, built in 5 minutes, like any solution for the real-time problems. So why I'm bringing that? So, or let's see what there will be a lady or or a person who wants to go out, and suddenly uh, their shoes were turned off, when were teared off. Now what to do? So ideally, what we'll do, we have to go out, give it to someone, or buy a new shoe or a new chappal, so that you can start using them, right? But what if I want to have an immediate solution? So you need to have some idea. Like let's say I need a needle, small thread to stitch it off and all. Likewise, they'll show you a problem, and they'll just show and they'll have an idea blinked in their mind. That is where they'll show you a small bulb, and then okay, for this idea I'm bringing these utensils, and then they'll start building it and show you the solution within 5 minutes. This is what is about that. Why I'm bringing that here? Every solution came from a problem statement, right? So you will never have a solution directly. First, you have to see a problem statement, then you'll get an idea, then you'll build the solution. Correct? Whatever the applications that you see in the market, the people who build those applications have seen the problem statement. And by the way, what is the use of our application? Yeah, one side, I completely agree, it makes our life more easier. But what is the other side? Like this is from Ram, who is a customer. But what is the definition that will you get the same definition when you go and ask the developer or the organization who built that application? Definitely not. Right? So they are not building the application to make their life easier. They build the application so that it generates revenue for them. Right? The more number of people using that application, for example, looks like most of you are from India. In India, I think you are aware of Uber, right? Uber, when you want to book a cab, so Uber is not like an application which will help you only just to book these cabs, right? And let's say every day, uh, let's say if people are booking around 1,000 cabs. Now today, people are not going to book anything. No cabs are booked. So does it mean that Uber generated 0% revenue today? No, it will generate. Whenever you start opening this Uber app, right, that itself will be considered as one click and they'll be paid. Okay. So, which means the more number of people using it, whether they book or not, that is secondary. The more number of installs they have, the more number of openings they have on the app every day. So they'll start generating the revenue. So to make sure people are opening that application, they should design in a proper way so that it will be easy for the people to use it. If Uber says, hey, if you want to go from Bangalore to, let's say, as I said, like I'm from Bangalore, I'll tell you, just use it. Like, let's say if I want to go from a place called Maradhali to Electronic City, what I have to do? I'll just say my current location is Marathili and I want to go to Electronic City. Now, if Google says, no, no, sorry, Uber says, Ram, if you want to go to travel to Electronic City, what if they ask me to give the latitude and longitude location? Immediately, I'll start looking for an alternative application, maybe Ola or whatever the other apps, right? Because this latitude and longitude, yes, of course they need it, but as an end user, I'm least bothered. I don't even know because it'll have 10-15 characters, that two numbers I cannot remember, right? So that is where when Uber is building an app, they must think, okay, how it will be more easier to communicate with my users so that lot more people will be using it so that they'll generate the revenue, right? Now, why Uber has built this application? They have seen that, okay, people whenever they want to travel, every time they have to call to some travel agency, or maybe they should go to the auto people to book the cabs, and they have seen that people are not getting it. Of course, it is a business for them, it's not a social service, completely agreed, but a kind of service that they have provided, right? So if you remember, if you are from India, like before Uber and Ola came, like we used to spend a lot of time in figuring out these cabs and all if you want to go out. Of course, if you have your own car or something, even if you have it also, it's not like every time you travel, I mean, you drive your car, right? There are days like where you'll see, no, no, I have to go out in a cab so that I'll avoid few things. Let's say if you're going for a tour in your nearby places and all. Okay? So there is a person called X who have seen this problem and he came up he have seen the problem statement, and he came up with a idea saying that yes, let me build some application where people can start using it to book the cab, so that I am just bringing up the customer and the service provider on the same page, so that it will be easier. Uber is not just helping the customers, right? Of course, they are providing this. They are helping the service providers, the cab drivers, to get the cabs easily. But of course, for this, they'll charge too much of commissions and all. So that is up to the business, right? But after getting that idea, this X person, can he build the application directly? No, right? It needs a lot of steps to be followed. So he should have a server. On that server, first he should install some software so that he can start building this application. And the moment I spoke about servers, it will have its own capacities. You have to set up the security here, and you have to make sure the right reports are generated, so that, of course, at the end of the day, I should see whether I'm in a profit or loss, right? Or once everything is done, that is where I'll start building the application, correct? This is what any of your legacy platform does. And by the way, what is a legacy platform? Old technologies. Like it could be Java or Oracle or .NET or of course Python, C, C++. Right? Now, so this is okay. Somehow I will start building it, but this setup itself will take at least 12 months. And second thing is, the moment when I'm buying a server, it will have something called user capacity, which means it will say that, hey, at any point of time, only this many users can use your application. That's it. So consider a city like Bangalore. So you'll have at least 10 to 15 lakh population in Bangalore minimum. That's pretty minimum, because here the IT industry itself is too much when you compare to any other city in India. Right. Now they have to have capacity of that to maintain in Bangalore, but they are starting fresh, right? So they don't know how many people might use it. So they thought like, okay, I'll buy a server which can handle a maximum capacity of 1 lakh. So it went well. Things are good. People are getting a nice service from this. But the problem is, more number of people started using it. Then obviously the capacity of the server has to be increased to sustain the market or to run the show happily. So they'll keep on increasing the service, the user capacity. Now it went to 15 lakhs or 20 lakhs. Now their competitor came into the market called Ola, who will provide the same service. As a customer, what you'll do? Of course, we'll look at the service, and at the same time, people started looking at the price as well. So definitely, even these people, both the service providers, Uber and Ola, knows this, and one or the other day they'll show you a small variation, maybe 5%, 10%. So that time users will fluctuate. What if Ola is giving you a best service with a minimum price? People started using Ola only, right? And now there is a huge loss for Uber because no one is using it. So Ram, what is that loss in terms of price? I won't say in terms of price, but I will say in terms of server maintenance. Right? Because they bought a server of 15 lakh users, but only 1 lakh or 2 lakhs are using. So it's not worthy to use it, right? So it's not worthy to maintain that service. But does Uber have any other option? No, they have to go with it. Why? Because they bought it already. So this is one of the biggest issue. And what if they are not increasing? They'll say, hey, today only 1 lakh people can use my application. Then other people who are interested in using it, apart from this 1 lakh, they'll also keep hitting the server. So there is a high chance that your application itself will crash. And the best example for this is our IRCTC portal. If you remember, till 2015, if any one of you have booked any train tickets, especially tickets in Tatkal, like where it will open one day prayer, your server used to crash all the time, right? Why? Because it was built on Java on a legacy platform earlier. And you know what? The server capacity of IRCTC was 50 lakh users, which nowhere matches with your Indian population, right? Even if we consider 10% of Indian population when we are at 100 crore. So 1 crore people are trying to hit, hit the server at every time. So as the server doesn't know to whom to respond, it used to crash all the time. Of course, that was sorted. Now it's into cloud, so that's why it has various platforms and you can book the tickets at any point of time. Now, what is the solution for this? Cloud computing. Okay, in cloud, what you do? I won't take too much of technicals here. Here I will say in cloud computing, you will have a service provider who will say, hey Sai, if you want to build an application, they'll say, I have a server, I'll give you some space and the users that you need. You pay me a base amount for my maintenance. Rest all will be taken care by me. The server maintenance, or it could be storage, or it could be networking, virtualization, everything. So what is the advantage here? So in our on-premise application, so I'm the person who is responsible for my storage or the server capacity or the networking. So half of my job is gone. Right? Now I can concentrate on other half, like which software to be installed, which middleware is required for integration, how do I handle the runtime issues, how do I build my data, all the application structure, all this, right? Of course, I have to pay, but that's a maintenance fee. If you compare with the amount that you have to invest here is 10 times more than the amount that you are going to invest in your cloud. Yeah. Because the amount that you have to spend over here will be very, very less. Right? It's like you're buying your own house and staying in a good hotel with all amenities. Okay, with a lesser price. Now, in cloud again, we have three services: infrastructure, platform, and software. So what's the difference? When it comes to infrastructure, I would say it is pre-on-premise service where they'll provide you the services, but only half. They'll say, hey, you bring your own software to build your application, or you bring your own middleware for integrations. I don't mind what kind of errors yet you might, I don't know what kind of errors you will get. You have to handle your own. You have to design your own application right from scratch, all this. Is there any best example? Your Amazon Web Services. AWS, when you're using it, yeah, like they'll give you a black box where you have to build your own from the scratch. But when it comes to platform as a service, they'll say, hey, don't install anything. I give you a platform, a base to build your application. Okay, with all required required design, you build your application on my system directly. You don't have to think too much about, hey, is the server available? Can you provide the networking? Which software to be supported? What is the middleware that I have to install? Nothing required. You come, log in, build, use, leave. Rest all will manage. This is what your platform as a service is. And here the best example is your force.com platform. That is the first license that Salesforce has launched when it started in 1999. I'm not wrong. Yeah, 1999. Right? And on top of it, you have something called software as a service, which is SaaS, which here you will have a service or a software built by an organization provided to you as a service through internet. Best example, Salesforce. Within Salesforce, you have certain standard set of applications which are built at market standards and can help you to sort out your requirements. A very best example is sales, a simple process, because Salesforce started with sales, right? So likewise, it will give you 10 or 15 standard applications, standard set of applications, which are defined at market standard. Ram, why you are stressing about market standard? So if you go with a generic sales process, it will say you'll have advertisements, then you'll get some inquiries, you'll talk to them, you'll convert them to your customers, they'll buy the products, right? This is what the generic sales process that is there, right? But does it mean that everyone who is selling the products will follow the same structure? Definitely not, right? For example, let's say uh, Maruti has launched a new car. So definitely they'll start posting ads at least 6 months prior. Right? Or maybe other companies also, works, I don't know, anything. But have you ever seen a single ad posted by the brands like Rolls Royce or Lamborghini? Never. They will never post an ad. But does it mean that they're not into profits? No, definitely not. Right? Because they know their brand value and they know people will run behind them to buy their cars, right? So every person or every organization who is into the sales process of selling their products, it could be a big car or a small food item. So the process that they have to follow, it is up to them, right? This is what they can do, correct? Now Salesforce says, hey, I'm giving you a standard set of applications. If you want to build them from scratch, yes, you are going to go with the big license, or you can have the platform by default. You can build your application. Now, Ram says, no, actually, in my organization, I'll more or less follow the same process. So, can I use it? Yes, it is a free application given to me by Salesforce. I can leverage that features. And now someone else like Sai came into the picture and he said like a sales process is fine, but looks like it may not fit 100% for me. But 60 to 70% is okay, but other things I have to customize. Salesforce says that you can customize that application. So it won't restrict you, which means you can use the app as it is. You can build your application from scratch if you want, or you can even customize the applications given by Salesforce. These are the best advantages why people are running behind Salesforce, right? And by the way, as it is software as a service, if you have seen Salesforce, right, you will see a logo with no software. You don't have to install a single software for this. Which means if I don't have to install a software, I don't have to buy my, let's say, my system with higher configurations. Like for example, if you people are aware of SAP and all, to install SAP, I have to have a minimum space of 500 GB because that itself will consume by SAP. My system should be very fast because when I'm running, my RAM size should be more efficient so that it will be able to handle an application which is spread, which has around 500 GB, right? But in Salesforce, it's like if you know how to log into Facebook, it's the same way. You'll have a URL, you will log in and build and leave. So for this, you don't have to have a bigger RAM size, right? You need a system with basic configuration and a decent internet connection. And this means that the organizations who are using or who are building services based on Salesforce are saving a lot of money now, right? Because they don't have to buy high-end computers or high-end laptops for their developers who are building it. There is a cost saving. And apart from that, they don't have to maintain all this. They are just they are already paying the maintenance service to the Salesforce. So all this also will be resolved. Then, Ram, when you are keeping your data somewhere, how about the security? Salesforce is the most secured application that is available in the market as of now. Why? Because, for example, I think from past 3-4 years, if you try to log into your Facebook account or to your Gmail accounts through a new system, it'll ask you for a verification code. And do you know what? It was there in Salesforce in 2006 or 7 itself. Logging into the system is very much impossible unless until I know the verification codes. Of course, it will be generated to this registered email IDs. And this one, Salesforce is 360. Salesforce has a 360-degree view. So it has a bird eye view to understand each and every requirement of the business organization. It says, hey, do you want to sell your products? We have sales process defined. Do you want to market your product? We have marketing process defined. It's like the marketing was defined in such a way that I can, let's say, I have, let's say, 10,000 email IDs, and I'm sending an email to all these 10,000 customers to know about or to to showcase about my new product launch. Every time I'm doing it. Now in this, I'm not sure what is the potentiality of this marketing. Of course, even if I'm just sending an email, I have to ask someone to do it in my organization, right? As the CEO of the organization, I cannot run behind all these emails. Now, what is the output of it? I don't know. Every day I have to keep sending it. It's like throwing a stone in the dark. I don't know whether it will be whether it will hit my fruit or not, right? But what if I know out of this 10,000 people whom I'm sending the emails, what if I know how many people are opening the emails? What if I know how many people are spending at least 1 minute or 30 seconds on the email to read the content? That is where Salesforce marketing plays a major role. There are tools like Exact Target being used by Salesforce where it will tell you like how many people have clicked on it, how many people have opened it, how many people have read your message. So that out of the 10,000, let's say only 5,000 people are using, reading the details of that email, my next potential customers will be that 5,000. I can ignore the first 5,000, right? That's how you can. And like your Amazon, you can build a commerce website in Salesforce to sell your products as well. You can build multiple applications. You can do an analysis. You can even use employee experience, which is actually also called as web. Okay, which is exactly similar to your Google documents, where n number of people can edit on that document in one shot. And it's being used in multiple industries, like it's there in banking sectors, or it's there in real estate sectors, it's there in financial broking sectors, it's there even in pharmaceutical industries, it's even there in bigger organizations or like oil and gas industries. Not just the major industries, even the small organizations who started their career also using it. For example, one of the simplest websites that you have seen is Redbus. They are using Salesforce. Paytm, is a customer of Salesforce. Citigroup, I'm not just speaking about Citibank. Citigroup is a customer of Salesforce. And the organizations with lesser revenue generation, like there's one Agarbati's organization whose annual turnover itself is 15 lakhs or so. They are using Salesforce. So how come they can also use Salesforce? Because Salesforce has wide variety of licenses, a range of licenses, and depending on your requirement, because it starts from $2.27 and it ends with $10,000 also per user per month. So based on your requirement, you can pick any. And of course, it follows the multi-tenant architecture. So this is one main reason why Salesforce is able to sustain and provide all the services. So what is this multi-tenant architecture? It's a kind of an apartment where you will have the shared resources. Like for example, the common power will be shared across the people who are living in the department, or the maintenance people. Let's say I have security, I have a swimming pool, I have a volleyball court. So all these things, I have multiple people who will maintain it, but it doesn't mean that Ram is the only person who will pay to this pool service, or Ram is not the only person who will pay to this volleyball court service, right? So there are people who will maintain it, and we'll pay our salaries from their salaries from the maintenance cost, which is maybe 4,000, 5,000 bucks per a month, right? And it doesn't mean that as I'm paying for the maintenance, it doesn't mean that I can go to the other apartments or other flats and sleep, right? So I have to have some limits also, right? So if I bought a flat in an apartment, then I should stay in that dedicated space, right? And there are some rules, right? And there are some limitations as well. And those limits in Salesforce, we call them as governor limits. Why? Because let's say if CTS have bought this space, they could have IBM next to them, they could have Wipro next to them, or they could have a smaller organizations next to them. So definitely they are not supposed to cross their limits so that their other people's applications also gets overridden, right? So you should be in your own limits, and those limits are called as governor limits. For each and every concept that we are going to discuss in future will have its own limits. And of course, will detail out each and every limit as well. Yeah. And now it's pretty simple. The moment you get an idea, you directly buy the Salesforce license and start building it. And the best part of Salesforce is by default, it will support the application based on you can use that application directly in your laptops or tabs or even mobiles as well. You don't have to do too much of development, because in the initial days you have to have a web designer who can make or who can build a responsive screens on your mobiles and all. But these days, if you are using Salesforce has a default application which can be used directly in your mobiles with minimum configurations that we'll see. Yeah. And yeah, this is how the approach of development in Salesforce. So earlier it is like you have to set up the infrastructure, then the operations, then you build the application. But these days, infrastructure and operations will be taken care by your Salesforce itself. So you can concentrate on building your application. So there are days where it will take in a couple of weeks your application will be built. It's not required. His name is Mark Benioff, and he is the CEO of Salesforce. AppExchange. This is one of the beauty of Salesforce. How many of you are using WhatsApp? Is anyone using WhatsApp? Or I would say, is there anyone who is not using WhatsApp? Let's say now, let's say career IT have decided, okay, like these are the people who will be joining the sessions from tomorrow. And course started. Now they want to share some information or some updates about the sessions. Let's say there is a change in timings, or maybe I might be taking a leave, or one of you might be taking a leave. So for this, you want to have a common platform to communicate with everyone. So what does Career IT do? They'll just simply create a WhatsApp group, right? And they'll add all of you into that group, and they'll keep updating about the sessions. Now, Career IT have a wonderful mobile developer because they do provide trainings on mobile applications also, right? So they have a wonderful developer who's number one in the world who can build any applications. Now, for this bunch of 10 or 12 people, will Career IT go to that mobile developer, maybe XYZ person, ask him to build a application so that they can communicate with all of you, and they'll share the links and start communicating? Definitely not, right? Why? Because they have to pay some amount to this mobile developer, and at the same time, it's not just about the money, it's a lot of time waste, right? Because the sessions will be there for 2 months, right? Max 2 3 months, not more than that, even if you stretch it too much. Like if you are learning advanced features, just for 2 3 months of communication, no one will ask someone to build your application for 6 months, right? It's waste of time. But why they are saying waste of time? Because they have a real-time solution already available in the market, that is WhatsApp. Even if WhatsApp says you have to pay $1 a month, people will still use WhatsApp, right? And you know what? From where you are using this WhatsApp? WhatsApp came from because there is a common platform called Play Store and App Store that is available in the markets, and from there you are installing these applications, right? And Play Store, I won't say it is a copycat, but actually Play Store is similar to the idea of Apple, right? uh, Called App Store. First you have App Store. Looking at it, Google built something called Play Store. And you know what? This guy is the person who owns that App Store idea and even the domain as well. You can go back to the internet, search for what's the story behind Mark Benioff and App Store. So he's the person who registered that domain already, but as he is the a best friend of Steve Jobs, he has given that, or he has gifted this App Store domain to Apple, and he started with a concept called AppExchange. So like the way your App Store is available on iPhone, Play Store is available on Google, AppExchange is available in Salesforce. Same concepts. You will have a lot of applications which can be used within your organization. But why? I mean, what are the applications that you have in your App Store? That is for you, right? For your social use, or right for your financial use, like banking sectors, or for your social use, like your social communications, like your LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and all, right? For your emergency use, or for your travel use, right? But when it comes to AppExchange, as Salesforce is built for business, AppExchange is for business use, right? And if you know any mobile developers, or if you have any friends, or if you have already built some application, as you're aware, that if you know a use case, you'll build an application and deploy it in your App Store or Play Store, so that if people started using that, you'll get the revenue, right? Same concept in Salesforce also. But as Salesforce customers are paid customers, they won't simply allow you to deploy your application in the AppExchange. You'll have a review board who will review each and every line of code, the UI that you have designed, the design pattern that you have worked on. If everything is good, then only they will say, yes, you can deploy your application in your in our AppExchange, so that if any of my customers looks at it, they want to use it, they will start installing and start using it. And of course, it is up to you whether you want to say this is a paid application or it's a free application. There are applications which says you can install it for free, but if you want to do any enhancements, it is charged. Right? You can do that as well. These are the differences. And as iPhone is the base of my app store, or what is it? Android mobiles are the base of my Play Store. Salesforce license is the base of my AppExchange. To use AppExchange, I should have a Salesforce license. And these are the economies. I think the last slide makes more sense. So if you see here, Salesforce is targeting for 24 to become a $35 billion company. As of now, it is around 28 billion dollar company or so. This was a little older slide, so that's the reason this showing the wrong numbers. But if you see here, there is a growth in Salesforce right from day one that they have launched the organization. This also means that the technology or the demand that is growing, if the demand is growing for my technology, definitely the technology that I'm working for, definitely my demand also increases in the market. And the average salary that a person with 3-4 years of experience, recently a couple of my juniors left the organization that I'm working for. They're at one of them at 3 or 4 years, and trust me, they got a package of around 28 lakhs for 4 years of experience. This is what the market's average salaries that are available for Salesforce developers in the market as of now. Okay, so this is all about Salesforce, and these are the different certifications that you have in Salesforce. You'll have admin, advanced admin, platform app builder, developers, your specialist exams, like you can be a marketing cloud specialist. I mean, there are architect certifications, all this, and it's up to you what you want to learn. So in my course, I'm gonna discuss about admin and the developer. Okay, so which is a combination of a couple of these clouds as well. Like we'll touch upon sales cloud, service cloud as well. And the other things needs a lot of licenses. So with the free licenses, whatever we can discuss, we will discuss, and I'll make sure each and every point that is required for your certifications in both admin and development will be covered for sure. Yeah. So this is all about the certification tracks, and this is what I'm going to discuss. Next thing is course content. You'll get it from the consultancy. So you'll have two parts, admin and development, as I told you earlier. Admin is the place where we can build the applications also. Admin is not the person who will just maintain the security in the system in Salesforce. The definition of an administrator in Salesforce is a person who can build the applications right from scratch, but using point and clicks. Okay, you won't have to use any coding language here. So you don't have to learn, or you don't have any prerequisites to complete your admin certifications in Salesforce. You can build the applications, you can build validations, you can automate the business, and of course you can control the users as well. So we will learn all these areas rather than just looking at the concepts. What are we going to do is I will definitely introduce a concept, but right from day one itself we'll start targeting one specific application, so that by end of the app and we'll start targeting building a specific application which is real time in the market. And by end of the sessions, you will have a full-fledged application in your systems itself, not in mine, in your systems itself, because most of the times I'll ask you to share the screen, and make sure you're doing it with a good assignments as well. So we'll cover all the concepts in a real-time example within your application so that you'll have a full-fledged application in your organization by end of the sessions. Yeah. Same thing will go for event development also. Clear? And the session timings more or less will be 7 to 8 every day, and we need around 40-45 sessions to complete on an average of 40 sessions, very worst case, to complete both admin and development, wherein which 20 days for admin and 20 days for development. Admin doesn't need any prerequisites, as I told you. If you know how to use a simple Excel sheet, not even, I'm not speaking about formulas and all, if you know how to use the Excel sheet, that is good enough for admin. But when it comes to development, you should have a basic knowledge of object oriented programming, at least, to kickstart your development. Yeah. There's all I have, and this is not required anyways. I have already discussed. Yeah. That's all from my end. Anyone has any questions? Anyone? It could be any question you can ask. I'll stay for 5 more minutes. If you have any questions, you can ask or you can drop off if you don't have any. Okay, then that's all for today. Let's meet in the next session. Bye, everyone.